Five, four, three, two, and I think we're live. Welcome, everyone, to this impromptu stream that we're having. I thought I will make a video today, but on one side I had like some taxes to do, and on the other side I am a little bit preparing for something. I don't know if I should tell you. I'll tell you. I'm going back to Ukraine, guys, once again. So I was also packing a little bit, but there's a lot of things happening, so let's at least talk about the things that are happening, specifically the so-called energy ceasefire that has been announced by Donald Trump. It's interesting that it was announced by him because apparently no other party decided to actually talk about it, and it's a whole another can of worms which we're gonna delve into, and I'll tell you what I think. But firstly, before we start, let's obviously give a hand and say a huge thank you to the people that make this channel still exist, which is the moderating team for doing an amazing job for so long, and most importantly, also for the news team that are preparing the materials for me to report on whenever I do make my videos. So, guys, question section is open. If you want any questions to discuss, please write your questions over there. But we're going to start with the energy ceasefire, or at least how it's being called. What happened? Well, in short, what happened was very odd because it was announced by Donald Trump that he asked Putin to essentially stop bombing Ukrainian energy infrastructure because it is very cold in Ukraine. That's what we have on paper. That's not a lot. The more interesting opinion that I've heard and kind of like that I tend to agree to is that there was some kind of agreement with regards to the energy ceasefire that is ongoing. We know that Ukraine has been pushing very extensively for some kind of a ceasefire on energy infrastructure because right now it is very cold in Ukraine, and because Zelensky cares for people of Ukraine, he's very much actively pushing for it. So the thought was that he supposedly asked Trump a lot about the ceasefire, hinting that maybe that will help shift some of the Ukrainian positions, so to say. And instead, he could ask Putin to actually grant that energy ceasefire, so to say. Now, apparently, it was some kind of a talk between the closed doors, and I think both parties really wanted to keep this sort of a like a behind closed doors altogether. But the big mouth of Donald Trump, like he cannot spend a day without praising himself, so he decided to use this as essentially a way to state how much he's actually achieving for the sake of Ukraine. And at first, when he stated this, Russians were denying this, but then kind of slowly they started acknowledging. And Russia wanted to hide this for one very specific reason, because this is not good for Russia. This once again illustrates in just how vulnerable position a Russian president actually is. You know, Russian propaganda is working extremely hard to paint a picture that Russia is this unstoppable force that absolutely nothing can influence and it will never back down. But we all here kind of know the truth, right? I mean, sometimes you might doubt it, sometimes there might be people that, you know, try to propagate some weird narratives, but we all more or less agree that Russia is getting weaker, that Ukraine is getting stronger. And despite all of the propaganda narratives, Russia cannot really sustain, especially with the economic news coming this January, because this year started pretty atrociously for Russia. They tried to paint an image that the last year ended up was pretty well. So we kind of hit the economy approximately where we planned, despite the fact that it was revised 4 times. But it turned out that they were just hiding some of the numbers, and to be honest, the start of the year didn't look great. They started the year with the first couple of weeks and a 20, I believe it was like 20 something percent monthly inflation, So all of the attempts by the Russian central bank to quote unquote reduce inflation pressure on the country and generate some kind of a growth in the industry, everyone got really, really scared, and it seems that Russian economy actually is not doing well. Wow, who is not surprised here? So I think Putin kind of sees this, and I think there is plenty of people around him that do understand this, and he still wants the full Ukraine. Don't get me wrong, but it's obviously becoming clear that for Russia, the news are really bad. Like it's basically painted on the on the wall. Russia, where was it? Yeah, basically these kind of headlines are what kind of betray. And I'm sorry, I don't have a subscription to the Telegraph, but these kind of headlines have been dominating both in the pro-Russian sphere and in the other media. Yeah, Russian forces advance slower than any army in the past century. So that's like that is the damning headline, especially with the news within Russia itself. Now, how do we know that Russia actually doesn't want to have this peace or anything else? How do we know that Putin really wants to have something more and that he's, quote unquote, doing this a favor to Trump only to get more concessions from Ukraine? Well, it was actually stated by Kremlin himself, representatives of Kremlin themselves. Ushakov has been asked about the question on territories because Rubio and other representatives from the US have been very vehemently claiming that all of the questions with regards to Ukraine ending the war and stopping Russia is just one question remaining, which is the territory question, kind of narrowing everything down to if Ukraine gives away territories, then Russia will back off and the war will end. We all know that that's not true, but we'll have to kind of repeat the motions here a little bit because Ushakov has been stating very clearly that no, that this is the main question. We know why it is the main question. It is the most painful questions for Ukrainians. It is also the question of Russian essentially overcoming this headline altogether because they want to take all of those fortified positions from Ukrainians. But he also underscored that obviously that is just the main question and there is still a lot of other unresolved questions, and we all know what those unresolved questions are. It's always about the same. It's about Russian being the sort of how do you say, of Ukraine becoming Russian vassal. Like let's not beat around the bush over here. It is very clear what was expected from Ukraine. It was expected that Ukraine will just surrender, and Ukraine is not in a position to do it, and they will not do it. However, Ukrainians do want to have some kind of respite, especially with the bombings of their plants. So, if we are in this negotiations phase, I believe what happened is that someone was able to convince Putin to essentially throw Trump a bone here. Because so far, especially if we're looking at Anchorage meeting with Putin and Trump and other meetings, Putin with Trump, also telephone calls, it was always Putin's unchangeable position, and he never really changed it. And all the time, analysts were pretty baffled. Why is Putin so rock solid on his positions? Because it is very clear that Donald Trump really wants to essentially come to some kind of deal, that he will be glad to sell off Ukraine if Putin gives him at least something, like just throw him some kind of bone. Yet Putin gave absolutely nothing. So to be honest, it was expected that something like this would happen, and I feel that with Ushakov kind of taking over this negotiation track, with additionally Dmitriev, the Russian shill, coming back to Miami to talk with Kushner and Witkoff. By the way, Kushner and Witkoff have been 7 times total to Moscow and have been exactly 0 times to Kiev, just saying. So it is very clear that they still want to have some kind of deal. The Russians want to convince to move that 20-point plan that Ukraine right now has on the table that is pretty okay for Ukraine. It's not the best deal, but it's definitely a deal that could be made for Ukraine, and Ukraine would preserve the country, and it would be at least the position where Ukrainian citizens would at least stop dying needlessly, so to say. But it's not a good deal. It's not a good end to the war. The only proper end to the war is with Russian defeat and falling back. If Russia is going to be able to retain some territory, we're going to live in a lot more dangerous world. But as we already discussed, unfortunately, we don't have forces in Europe or United States that are willing to protect that world for us all. So this is what we're going forward. So instead, Ukraine is asking 20-point peace plan with proper security guarantees that is ratified by the US Congress. And more importantly, that is also accepted by the EU with Ukrainian clear path for joining the European Union. Essentially, pressure from the United States on the Europeans to accept Ukraine into their state. I think this is a sort of workable. It's not a good solution, but I understand how Ukrainians would see this as a potentially workable for them. All in all, what we're having here is now ceasefire where Russians have not been firing at Ukraine for a couple of days. Unfortunately, Peskov stated that initial agreement was supposedly for a week, but he also stated it with like a backwards going date. So he says that it's actually running out. So it is supposedly, by the Russian logic, like it should be ending either tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, and that Russians will be firing at Ukraine once again. And that is, I mean, at that moment, was there even a ceasefire? I don't think so, because if it was just a couple of days of respite, then Russia was able just to reload their missiles and whatsoever. So you cannot even say that there was any kind of ceasefire, period. But more importantly, is that Ukrainians are also trying to push for longer ceasefire. They're trying to really leverage this moment to get some kind of a peace track going, and I see efforts from Zelensky with him coming out and stating that if Russia will not attack us, then we will not attack Russia. So he's definitely trying to pay that political game. But more importantly, it's a very bad position for Putin, because right now in Russia, all the Z propagandists and Russian shills are up in arms, and they're yelling about the betrayal of the Russian ideals, because supposedly the next week in Ukraine would be the coldest one in a long time. Well, here I go, Ukraine, here I come, so to say. And if Russians would not bomb Ukraine during that week, that it would be a big mistake, that they were stating that Ukrainians were already like this close to surrender, that if only Russians would bomb Ukraine for a week more, then Ukrainian state would collapse, Ukrainians would rise up and overthrow the Zelensky government. You know, like basically just being bloodthirsty warmongers. That's who they are. But that's Putin is, and this is really big problem for Putin right now because of perception, and so he really engaged that propaganda machine to try to calm it all down. So all in all, is this a long-term, some kind of ceasefire pathway to peace? Absolutely not. This is most likely just some small bone to Trump to try to butter him up, maybe to push Ukraine a little bit more, to change positions of the 20-point plan that Ukraine proposed. It's a negotiations tactics to essentially break down the rock-solid foundation that Ukraine has built with their diplomacy, just because the conditions that are being rolled out are not very favorable to Russia. And that's exactly why Dmitriev right now is specifically going to US to try to move things around. Don't get deceived. War is nowhere close getting over in sight, even despite the headlines. So please be aware of that. Now let's quickly talk about some of the questions that you have. Bain Peter, Ban Peter, thank you so much for the question. Hi, how are you, Georgies? What do you think going to happen next to Ukraine future? And thank you for your work. Well, Ukraine is going to continue fighting a war. There is already positive changes inside of Ukrainians Ministry of Defense, which is the biggest thing that Ukraine needs to change. Specifically inside of what the Ministry of Defense does and how are they operating. I'm already hearing really, really good echoes coming from there. So if Ukraine is going to be able to solve some of their issues internally, then I truly believe the Ukrainian performance on the front line would also improve, and we will see Russia really suffering on the front line. If Ukrainian plan on killing 50,000 Russians a month will be successful, then Russia, like some people think that it will collapse Russian military, it will not, but it will definitely not allow Russia to concentrate their forces. So they will essentially not be able to conduct their offensive operation, which in turn will open windows for Ukraine to conduct some of their offensive operation. So it's just going to be good. So that is what Ukraine is going for. So I think the outlook for Ukraine is very optimistic. Gala U3J, has anyone asked or researched where the money email trail concerned Jared Kushner and Witkoff? I mean, listen, like if anyone would investigate Trump's administration, I think you can find a lot of weird money. But hey, corruption is only in Ukraine, right? Right? It's definitely not in US or EU. It wasn't me. Hey man, could you please do another video on the Russian economy? I know that you are a data nerd, so if it's much appreciated. Yes, I actually have already materials. I was really waiting for January materials because I wanted to see because at the end of the year, Russian economy kind of it looked like it braced. So I was like, should I report that it's they kind of braced for it, or should I wait? And I decided to wait. And the first weeks of January, and it's just off the cliff, just complete dip, off the cliff, like all of the thing just out of the window. It's really bad. So yeah, we'll do that for sure. Alvar Perello, Viva Livonia, what would you say are the 1-3 low-hanging fruit for democracy-loving people to grab this year? I mean, something that is Ukraine win, Russia lose, more of the others are happy. Oh, low-hanging fruit. You said that's depending for whom. Like do we talk about countries? You're stating democracy-loving people, so I'm thinking like a general population, and I guess people that care, because I know a lot of people that just I don't care about politics, no matter the fact that we're hanging here on a thread. And the general people that care about politics, well, the lowest hanging fruit that you have is, I would say, right now we're living in a big disinformation state. So the first thing that you should do is find a good way how to check information. So finding good sources of information would be number one, because with AI we're gonna have probably the worst year 2026 with regards to disinformation. It's gonna be so freaking believable that we're gonna really be confused. The tools are becoming really incredible. So we're gonna see fake pictures, we're gonna see fake videos. It's gonna be hard to believe our own eyes. Point number two is obviously believing in the victory of Ukraine. I think that's the most important. Thinking long term, thinking that you shouldn't worry. A lot of people really worry about Ukraine, and they basically almost sabotage their lives, their daily lives. I don't think we should. And point number three, I think would be nice to learn how to pilot a drone. No shit. I think the world that we're living in, if you know how to pilot a drone, it could be really beneficial. So order yourself a controller for a drone, install yourself some of these simulators, and just learn how to pilot a drone. It's not that difficult, and this could be really nice. So if you can also participate in some of the activities for local defense, that would be really good as well. Marino4691, has Trump done anything good in your opinion? Like anything? No, for sure. Listen, so, and this is unpopular opinion, right? So this is very unpopular opinion. Trump has how I would put it, like, okay, without my friends bashing me, some of the Trump ideas are based in in the right kind of discussions. So there are things that societies should be talking about. So I think Trump exposing that a lot of these ideas that they're not being talked about, I think overall is good for democracy. Democracy requires some of that discussion. With that said, his actions have been absolutely terrible for the world. Like, it was absolutely terrible. The problem is that I cannot name you anything that he did good because it's getting absolutely overshadowed. It's like sort of like I feel in a situation where it's like, Georgie, do you think the earth is flat or not? And it's like equaling out those two concepts, you know? It's like, how can I talk about whether earth is flat if it's like so overwhelmingly obvious that it is not? It's like comparing the consensus of the scientists to one crazy guy in the suburbs of, I don't know, Liverpool, whatever. Sorry for people of Liverpool. It's that is kind of like the sense. So I think it is possible to find somewhere, somehow, some small things that benefited certain types of people and so on that probably was okay. Like, for example, probably he did a lot of some good things for the rich people, right? I'm pretty sure like a lot of rich people are stating, yeah, nice for Trump. However, the mountain of absolute shit that his administration has brought onto this world is just completely covering any of that. And that is why it's kind of like I feel uncomfortable just even talking about these two. So, uh, Etenoel Hula, sorry for butchering your name, my friend. Why can we be helpy by controlling FPV drone from our home, like me from Montreal? No, 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 not controlling FPV. Firstly, not necessarily FPV drone, just any drone. Just learn how drones fly. This is just a good skill to have. This is a great skill to have. From Montreal, I mean, like talking about Trump. Are you completely sure that you will not need these skills? Huh? Huh? So so my friend in Montreal, like you're stating like you're out of it, like you like supposedly this doesn't concern you. I think you missed the point in which world we're living right now. All of the safety switches are off. A lot of weird shit can happen here. So think about it. So, but it's a great skill to have. Drones are gonna be everywhere, mostly because they've now dropped in price, and now it's gonna be used. So think about it this way: before the war in Ukraine, drones were considered sort of like a luxury, like it's a fancy new thing. It's something that is being built for specific tasks, and it requires dedication, right? So now suddenly we have like a whole industry blow up to an insane amounts. Like the amounts of drones that are being produced and consumed by Ukraine is incredible. Once the war is over, that whole industry is just gonna fly open and it's gonna come to the world overall. And what will happen is drones will start being a solution to the problems of before. So because it's cheaper to make them, you can make drones as a solution. And because there's so many companies that are producing drones, they're going to start looking for what problems they can solve with these drones. They're going to start pushing it to market. And it will definitely create an absolutely new perspective for the drones. It's obvious that it's coming. Right now, it is not there because Ukraine is sort of like a black hole for a lot of that drone industry. But as soon as the war stops, the hostilities stop, it's just going to explode to the world. And then you will suddenly realize how much of it is there. Not necessarily FPV drone, like just any drone. Tosunabe, hey my friend, what is the situation of Russian war chest gold reserves? Is Brent petrol going up $70 benefiting Russia? Why Zelensky talks more about lack of Patriot missiles? EU air defense not that good. Okay, many questions. Let's go straight one by one. First of it, what's the situation of Russian war chest gold reserves? So Russia decided to do two things instead of like they've spent a little bit of gold reserves, a little bit, from their national wealth fund, but they didn't decided not to go into it. Instead, Russia decided to do very, very painful things. They decided to swallow to bite the painful bullet. The first thing that they did is they said, we're going to stop the investment programs. So Russia is cutting industry investments. Russia is cutting investments into their economy, which is really bad because the only way Russian economy was growing is because of the government investments. Russian government basically says investment time is over. It's done. Like there is going to be just a couple of areas that Russia will invest. That is one thing. And second thing, they started printing money. So now they are doubling down on printing money and preventing investments. So cut expenses and increase supply. It's going to result in inflation and worse economy, but they're trying to bite the bullet for now. Is Brent petrol going up $70 benefiting Russia? Yes. However, what is the oil price? Because that is not the one that what I've heard. Crude oil prices right now it is around 65, 66. I see. So it is going a little bit up. But there is also a lot of there is a ceiling on the Russian oil by the Europeans. Plus, the Europeans want to curtail some of the shadow fleet. Right now, I believe Russian oil is being bought by India, and they're demanding massive discounts. And the price that I've heard was like 27.5, I believe, dollars per barrel, which is insanely low, insanely low. So. Let's go next. Zelensky talks more about the lack of Patriot missiles. This is because Patriot missiles is the main missile to intercept ballistic missiles. So there are two types of missiles that Russia is using. I will do a bit of drawing. By the way, I found this thing. I'll show you. It's just incredible. Look at that. This is just truly amazing. It's Microsoft Paint online. They just recreated the paint. That is fantastic. So now I can truly express myself. Okay, so can I get it thicker? Maybe. I cannot get thicker. Okay. Oh, like this. So there are so this is ground. This is like buildings. There is like trees. And there are two types of missiles. There is missile type number 1, which is the cruise missile. Cruise missile flies with a speed of a couple hundred kilometers, let's say going 300, 400, 500 kilometers. And generally it flies kind of low to the ground. It flies maybe from 10 to maybe like 100 meters above ground. So it's pretty low, just high enough to go over trees and buildings. The lower the better, because then it's not getting captured by radar and so on. This type of missiles are pretty easily intercepted by regular anti-air systems. So if it is detected, then there is very easily some kind of a anti-air station that can just fire and then intercept this missile. And those can be missile operators. I even seen people shut down missiles with some of the machine guns. There is a lot of things. Drones are intercepting some of these missiles. Intercepting them is generally considered easier because the tools are pretty much available all over the place. Manpads as well, yes. And then there are ballistic missiles, and ballistic missiles are nasty because ballistic missiles, they go up into the almost outside of the atmosphere, and then once they're above the target, they kind of just drop down on the target, and they can go many Mach 3, Mach 6, Mach 7. I don't know, like many speeds, like very fast. This missile cannot be intercepted by any normal stationary object. These missiles need to be intercepted by systems like Patriot, and I believe it's called, like, the European analog is SAMPT. Please correct me if it was, because there is like SAMPT and there is IRIS-T, and I always mix them apart. So I think it was SAMPT, which was the counter ballistic missile. So the Patriots are the most abundant because there's just a lot of launchers for Ukraine, and they are located in many cities. SAMPTs, Ukraine received a lot fewer. So while the missiles potentially for SAMPT are not as more available, but generally speaking, they are available. Patriots, there is a lot of launchers right now in Ukraine that they're using, and they always need missiles, especially because United States is not supplying these missiles. So Ukraine always needs to try to find them, and that is a problem. You see, I'm an artist. Yes, I know. Thank you, thank you. Nobel Peace Prize for me, please. I'm pretty sure there is a Nobel Peace Prize for artistry. Like, I mean, definitely worth a medal. Yes. So that is the Patriot missiles. EU air defense are not that good. SAMT is good. SAMT is actually better than Patriot on all accounts from what I've heard, but it's just not enough of them. CZ1589. Jake Bro wonders whether the Flamingo will live up to the expectation. It's just the issue with scaling up the techniques, or do they consider it's not cost effective? What's your take on the project? Yeah, we've seen not a lot of strikes by these missiles. I've seen some. Here it's important to recognize that we don't know all of the times that they've been used. I think publicly disclosed were like 5 uses of the missiles. So that is about it. But we definitely know. Sorry, we definitely know that they've been used more than 5 times. Because there was like captures by Russians, and there have been statements and so on. So the point that I'm making is we don't know. There is a lot of assumptions that we're making about these missiles. There is a little bit of an issue with scaling up the production, that I know for a fact. There is some issues with procurement of some components, that is a fact. But overall, right now in Ukraine, these missiles, at least the concept of these missiles, are being looked at as a positive case. And I think if the bureaucracy and checks will phase out, I think all of the delays that we've seen in a couple of last months will be overcome. Because Firepoint got in a little bit of hot water. Let's just put it this way. Can you increase the sound just a little bit? It's okay, but not great. Shit, man. Should have started with the sound check, guys. Sorry for that. Oh, man. But can I even increase? Oh, man. Is there a way for me to increase the sound? I don't know if I can increase the sound. Wait. It's not here. It's actually, I think. I think it was somewhere here that I could increase. If it's I'm gonna give you a second to adjust the sound. If it increased. Okay, I'm gonna give you a second to adjust to the new sound, so I will not yell into your ears. Super. Sorry for that. I've played around with some settings and forgot. Have you played Ukrainian flight drone simulator yet? No. So the issue is I'm having all my systems on Linux, and once I connected my controller to Linux, it detected it wrongly, so I just couldn't get my controller to work with the Ukrainian flight drone simulator. The game definitely requires some more love and some more controller modification inside of it. And unfortunately, with my request to them, they didn't respond. So I didn't have the best experience with the developers that reached out. So Sorry to the developers, but your shit doesn't work. Yes, exactly. Linux is great. Like don't like I've been now for a couple of months on Linux, and I'm truly amazed why I didn't do it earlier. It is really nice. I love the mass update of the applications. Wow, that thing just slaps. Just like hop, and everything is updated. That is so good. Deb stuff. Did you see Preston Stewart's interview where a group found out a US company owned by the guy who owns football team? I'm not a sports fan, don't have details, is skirting sanctions on purpose. No, I haven't seen that report by Preston Stewart, but it is well known that there is plenty of companies both in Europe and in Ukraine and US that are circumventing sanctions. I think the latest article that was like about circumventing sanctions was German follow Russia. I think something like this. German follow Russia components sanctions. Maybe Germany takes a tougher stance. Let's see. Maybe someone can find. Basically, there was an article. There was an article recently that a German company built. Basically, they put some tracking in some of the components that are making their way to sanctions, and they tracked the companies and the whole way how these components made their way to Russia. It was pretty funny. So if I'll find the link, I'll show you. But yeah, I don't have it right now. Sorry. So there's plenty of companies that are willing to overcome sanctions. Which distributive? I'm running Ubuntu. Ubuntu is really good. I really like Ubuntu. It's very nice. I think it is Debian based, but don't ask me. I'm not a developer. Like I know only some small coding in Python. Not a developer whatsoever. CZ, what's your insight and open source understanding of incoming Allied cruise missiles from allies this year? UK, Czech, Norway. Seems a lot in the pipeline. Is it good in numbers? I mean, it's always can be better, right? You know, it's like how do I put it in numbers? Like, is it enough? No. It can always be better. But is it better than nothing? Yes. Is it more than last year? Yes. So there is a lot of good things that are coming in the pipeline. European industries are kicking in. That is for sure. So remember my timeline that I predicted at 2023. My prediction was that by the end of 2026, we will see Ukraine finally catch up to Russia industry-wise, and then it's going to become worse and worse and worse for Russia. And everything indicates that very much we are on this pathway. And remember, Ukraine is guaranteed the money for the next 2 years. So things are looking okay for Ukrainian defense. It's just about easing up the suffering of civilians within Ukraine, because the military are looking for options on how to win this fight, and there is a lot of good movements that are being reported. I'm worried about the winters. Don't worry, winter comes, winter goes. All right. Did the German company stop delivering their products after they found out they're going to Russia? Maybe. Commie Bastard, thank you so much for $5 Canadian. Appreciate it. Доброго ранку, Georgi. Can you talk about the 50 target per month of dead Russians? Seems like they slowed down a frontal attack. Is this still doable? Oh yeah, very much so. Very much so. Right now, Ukrainians are reporting they can be doing around 32,000. So it's a 18,000 increase. With Fedorov and scaling of Magyar's unmanned system forces, this can easily go up. Can it go 18,000 up? Yeah, I think so. I think so. By the end of the year, this can be achieved by Ukrainians. So it's 50,000 is a completely doable goal. It is not in the realm of possibility, especially now with Fedorov. He's coming in. What he's stating that it's going to be faster procurement for a lot of the drones, which is a big issue right now in Ukraine. We a lot of times, like we think is like, oh, there is a company that's making drones, and then the drones get delivered, and then they shoot the drones. But it's actually a lot of paperwork. There is a lot of in between paperwork, and in Ukraine, a lot of paperwork means actual paperwork. So you need to have like printed documents of stuff with like physical signatures, and that's just taking forever. So more digitalization, electric paperwork, simplified ways on placing orders, receiving orders, checking orders, and we will see a significant increase of output for Ukrainian military, especially now that Ukraine has the funds. Will Ukraine win before we get rid of the 5-year-old? Will Ukraine win before we get rid of our 5-year-old? Our 5-year-old are pretty much not a danger. I mean, like, I don't know who is our in your case. Like, so you need to identify who is our. If this was like a jab at the idea that supposedly Ukraine is just running out of manpower, then this is a very poor attempt, because that's not true. You can just go to Ukraine, and like the first city you enter, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, it's not bad. Anyone that has ever been to Kyiv understands exactly what I'm talking about. There's plenty of people in Ukraine. That's not the issue. The issue was always the problems within the Ukrainian military that they're now trying to solve with the new team. So if it's about like our 5-year-old, if you're talking about like our Europeans that we're supposed to send it somewhere, then I don't even understand what your question means. So I don't know. It looks like you're just a chud so far. Trump is not a question, by the way. Like, if you just write Trump in my question chat, that's not a question. It wasn't me, not a question, but like, if it's not a question, well, okay. I read it anyway, my friend. But I need you to tell how grateful I am for your live streams. Thank you so much. Hey, thank you so much, guys, for being here with me. I appreciate it. I appreciated you here on the eve of me going to Ukraine. We're having like an hour to talk about this stuff. I'm a little bit. I know that I've been a little bit late on the videos lately, but there's a good reasons behind it, and you will know things in due time. Oh, come on, bro. Yeah. All right. Do you know Vlad Vexler has good? He has good insights about rise of more authoritarian regimes in Europe and democracies, and worse leaders next decade for the Trump. Yeah, Vlad Vexler is a philosopher. I'm not a philosophy guy. Like, look at me. Look at me, like, do you see a guy that cares about philosophy or like deep understanding on shit? I like action. I like things that make sense. I'm a common man guy. Like I don't give a shit about academic understanding of what is democracy, who is at fault, who is like this. What I care is I want my children to be safe. I want my children to be raised in a free and fair society. I don't give a shit about like whether this is like influencing the how do you say the what you know what I'm talking about. Like, I don't even need you to explain it to you. It's like, so I appreciate Vlad Vexler for what he's doing. I hope he gets better with his health. It's really, really bad sometimes. It really pains reading through him. Because there's like, you feel this sense of like I cannot do anything, like just helplessness, and that feels really bad sometimes, because I think he's a nice guy for even a Russian. So yeah, overall, yeah, I'm just not a philosopher. I'm not look at me, just. Like, I like my beer. I like the only you wanted to have philosophy with me, buy me a beer, and then we can talk philosophy. Yeah, thanks. All right. Vlad is good psychologist. Yeah, maybe. Again, philosophy, psychology, great things. How does it help Ukraine win? I'm running a channel when one very specific purpose is to help Ukraine win. That's it. That's it. That's like my only point. It's like, yes, we're reporting on things how they are, but we're also doing it for a reason, just to be understanding what is actually happening, More importantly, understand how to look past the bullshit. That's it. Kitchen philosophy is the best. Yeah. I mean, like, listen, there was a couple of guys that dropped by my place recently. We bought a case of beer, and we sat down until like 4 a.m. and we discussed, because we were like, there was like two Lithuanians, and we talked about Eastern European stuff, like about the post-Soviets and how we, there's like a joke that there is a Eastern European starter pack. It's an alcoholic dad that beats your mom, and then mom never actually breaks up with him, and then you grow up basically without proper parents and a shitty Soviet education. It's like an Eastern European starter pack, and we joked a lot about this. Russia is in big trouble. Oh, for sure. Like I really need to make that video on the Russian economics. It's crazy bad for Russia, really insane. Tani Truce Posthumus. Sorry for butchering your name, my friend. Not a question, but I have a birthday coming up, and my birthday gift requires to my friends and family was to donate to Black Raven FPV Fund. A bunch already sent some donations. Hey, thank you so much, my friend. I'm going to Ukraine. I will be there where the drones are being made. I will check up on the guys, and hopefully I will report also from the Black Ravens themselves if we meet with them. So stay up for that. We'll report to you in person. That's going to be great. $70 to Sternenko. Hey, sending stuff to Sternenko, always good. Like, I mean, I was sending stuff to Sternenko before I started this channel. So, great job. And happy birthday, my friend. All right, let's round up with a couple of more comments, and then we're gonna wrap this all up. I still need to do some stuff, and then pack. The Baltics were held by Russia for a long time, as was Eastern Germany. What do you think the AFD rise there, but not in the Baltics? There is AFD in the Baltics. There is for example, I can show you Latvia, because I'm Latvian, so I can show you Latvia. LPV. Latvia polls. Bloop. There we go. So Latvia is benefiting a lot, like, from their democracy. It's very vibrant democracy. But you can see the party at the top is named Oh, I'm gonna zoom in. Sorry. So the top one. Oh, you can't. Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna move my head. So you can see just there at the top level over there, it says LPV. LPV. LPV is Latvia First Party. That is the populist party that is pretty insane. This is like, I mean, you can see if you anything know about the EU affiliation, this is the most popular party in Latvia right now. Latvia is literally literally next to Russia, and we have a party that is basically, I don't even know what they want, like take us out of European Union, stuff like this. Something. So no, like unfortunately, populists are everywhere. So nothing is. So nothing is. It's not Germany only. Some ministers were changed in Ukraine. We all know about Mikhailo Fedorov. Were there others that have gone under the radar? Are there more important than we think? I don't think there's like major changes that were notable. I mean, now Shmyhal is the Minister of Energy. That is a change, but Shmyhal never works publicly. Shmyhal always works kind of under the radar. So whatever he's doing, yeah, the LPV is a very pro-Kremlin party. Yeah, exactly. So it's like they're like not telling pro-Kremlin, but they're like, we should not spend money on Ukraine stuff and so on. Fuck those guys, you know. So no, it's not only Germany. What is your biggest reasonable fear for Ukraine in this war? Oof. That is a good question. I mean, the biggest fear, obviously, is for Europe, right? Right now, Europe is fully behind Ukraine. I am really, really looking with some fear about the populists inside of Europe, because right now there is a bigger positive momentum for Ukraine, but also there is a lot of Russian propaganda that is working against Ukrainians inside of Europe. And I can see that for some Europeans, both in Germany, in Poland, and other places, that this propaganda is working, and that is bad. So my biggest fear is that Europe will lose their momentum right now on remilitarizing, go against Russia, standing up for what is right, and instead we start breaking down, bickering with each other, and the whole thing falls apart. Because it's very hard for Ukraine to fight against Russia that is also being in the same bed with the United States administration. With support of Europe, Ukraine can do it. Without, that's going to be really, really tough. Nice hat, thanks. Hopefully I get new hat after this trip. This one is a bit old already. I got it like at some old time. Like, by the way, like if you wondered what's happening behind me, I had like ventilation in my house changed, so I had to move my cabinet, and there is the access. I'm not sure if there is the access hatch over there. So the guys that came to fix it, they needed to get access, so I moved like everything in my room to this one side, and they will probably still come next week. So it's a bit of a mess. It is what it is. Any news from General Drapati? Not yet, but maybe I will be able to get somewhere. But we'll see. Is there parties like Latvian AFD in other Baltic countries? And how come that Latvia, at least it seems sent to me, seems the most full of pro-Russian guys comparing to Lithuania and Estonia? Well, Estonia definitely not. If you've been to Estonia, then you would clearly know there is plenty of pro-Russians. As for Lithuania, there is just generally not many Russians in Lithuania. In Latvia has been trying a lot to essentially get Russians, like, so there's like a couple of there's like, oh my god, I've read this a while ago because like I wanted to understand like how countries work. There's like 4 ways how essentially foreigners and nations can be formed. There is like assimilation, integration, cohabitation, and was it the separation or something like this? Like there was like 4 pieces to that. I'll try drawing it, and I think it's gonna maybe come to me. So let's just have back, because I want to go back to Word. You know, I still want to get my award. So we're gonna go back to Word. So I think there was like 4 pieces to it. So there was like a separation, then was assimilation, then there was cohabitation and integration. So separation is very easily understood. That is where like you have just essentially a wall, and then you have society A, and then you have society B. Assimilation is also very easy, is where you take society A, say this is our society, so whatever there is in society B needs to be integrated into society A. So essentially to become the society A. Cohabitation, I believe, is... oh my god, I forgot this one. Because there was like a small difference between integration and cohabitation. I don't remember cohabitation, but integration was essentially where you create society C. So you say society C is actually consists of both society A and society B combined. So basically, for a very long time, Latvia tried this model right over here. They really wanted to make this new Latvian nation. But integration is a very, very difficult thing to form. There is like only number of countries in the world that were able to do that. And that is what Latvians really try to do. They try to sort of like elevate, in this case, let's say society B is the Russians, right? So Russians. So for a very long time, they wanted to kind of bring forward and says like our new future is to just live together as one society because Russians are part of our society. The problem is the society B doesn't really want to be because they have their own country, Russia. So they essentially built a wall and they said like, nope, we're definitely never going to be part of the society C. What we want is we want assimilation. We want Latvia without Latvians. And society B never really integrated. And this caused a lot of issues for the country. This caused basically completely different societies to form. So instead of efforts to try to create this integrated society, what Latvia ended up with is more of a separated societies. Right now, there are shops, school. They used to be okay. Now it's a little bit better, but there used to be shops, schools, universities, workplaces where Russians would work and live and study, and there would be shops, places, homes, schools where Latvians would work and study. It was completely separated. Since the Russian aggressive expansion, more and more cohabitation means that the groups live together but with different culture and so on. Yes. So like you say, we are kind of like society C, but society C is kind of like a part of society A and it's part of society B. So like you have your own identity, we have our own identity, but there is also our common identity. I think this was the society C. Yeah. I think it was that one. So, and now Latvian is basically saying, okay, no, it's like enough is enough. And now there is a lot of push inside of Latvia to go for assimilation, to say basically, if you are coming to Latvia, you must become Latvian. The problem is that a lot of that integration created a lot of the fundamental values inside of the Latvian society that were formed during these post-Soviet years, that a lot of Latvians are still believing that this society C is possible, despite the fact that it's never going to be possible. But because they are believing that it's possible, they are now resisting that. And now basically there is this whole mess. So now there is Russians that are believing that they are part of Russia and want to be part of Russia. There is small part of Latvian society that believes there is some kind of a society C possible. And then there is Latvians that realize that no, society C impossible. Welcome to the Baltics. It's really fucking insane. Yes. In Kyiv, the power is cut. Do you have comments about it will be 100% what you think? Ger, I'm not sure. What do you mean? Like, I mean, if the power is being bombed and they're not able to repair it, then the power will be cut. What do I think? I think it's bad. I think it's really bad that I think I'm getting really loud here. I think it's really bad that the world is just allowing Russia to do this, and we're not putting more pressure. In Belgium, we're doing that for nearly 200 years, and it still doesn't working. Yeah. It's sort of like this, like so. It's a whole thing. Like I mean, like there's plenty of countries that has similar issues. It's just we in Latvia didn't go for the Lithuania. Lithuania went for the assimilation part. In Lithuania, society is very, very much understands that if you're living in Lithuania, you probably should be Lithuanian, and they don't have this mentality that we should build some kind of a different society with the Russians. You come to Lithuania, you speak Lithuanian. That's it. No questions asked. Ali, Russia remains a joke. Safe travels, G's. Versama. Vilnius region is problematic. Yeah. Obviously, Vilnius is like there's always some areas that are problematic. How do we all engage with Latvia? What do you mean engage with Latvia? Don't engage with Latvia. It's Baltics. Baltics are lovely. Come to Baltics during the late spring. You will enjoy it. Especially, I love Latvia during May. In the May, we have a like a ex-Russian fuck castle, like the fuck hotel that some of the Russian princes or emperors built. So they would come to Latvia to essentially fool around with their harem or whoever they find. And they built a very nice castle, which the castle itself is pretty garbage, but there is a rose garden which is very beautiful with a lot of different roses. I recommend that a lot. Yeah. There's a lot of things to have discussion about the different structures of society. No society is 100% each of these parts. I'm talking about the dominant parts and so on. So all right, guys, thank you so much for your questions. Thank you so much for being here with me. A little bit of a sort of a how do you say contemplation stream for those people that were waiting for videos but didn't get it. We're gonna make things happen. We're gonna go to Ukraine. Videos from Ukraine are coming. Stay tuned. I love you. Slava Ukraini. Trust in Ukraine. Trust in Ukrainian armed forces. And I will see you next time. Oh, right. I forgot that I have this image as an outro. Well, enjoy.